What does it say? I'm sorry? 1:10. Do you see the right one? It should say the same as this, right here. Were you looking in the wrong, was she looking in the wrong spot maybe? Alright, you got it now. What does it say? Yep. And to wait for his Son from heaven. That's right here. Right? We have it on here, but it's the same verses in the Bible. Who wrote the Bible? Who gave us the Bible? Who gave us the Bible? Jesus, or God, yeah. Now, he used Paul to write that part of it, but God said that the Thessalonians had turned from their idols, and they begun to serve the living and true God, and they were waiting for the Son from heaven. Now, who's the Son? We've already said this, right? Who's the Son? Jesus. And where's the Son? Where is he?
Heaven.
He's in heaven. Now, but it says, wait for his Son from heaven. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? The Son. What are we waiting for the Son to do? To what? To come to earth. Now, if you remember, he's not going to come all the way to earth, right? He's going to come in the sky. Right, he's going to come in the sky, and those that are in the graves that have believed on him are going to go up and meet him in the sky, right? And those that have believed on him that are still living are going to meet him in the sky. So today we want to think about, when is Jesus going to come into the sky? Do we know? We don't know. Have you ever, everyone listen now, Silas, you listen too. Have you ever been waiting for a friend to come to your house, or your mom to come home, or your dad to come home, and you knew they were coming, but you didn't know when? Remember, you're just sitting there waiting, saying, I hope they come soon, right? I can't wait till my friend comes, or I can't wait till mom gets home, because then we're going to eat supper, or whatever, right? You don't know exactly when they're coming back, but you know they're coming back, right? Do you act a different way when you know somebody's coming? We do. We do. And today, we want to think about what the Bible, 1 Thessalonians, tells us about how we should act. If Jesus is coming, he's coming, we should act a certain way, shouldn't we? We should be thinking, Jesus could come back. Jesus could come back right now while we're in this room. How would you want to be acting when Jesus comes back? Could you think about, let's just go back to being here on the earth and not Jesus. What if you were at home and you were in a fight with your brothers and sisters when your dad walked in the door? You wouldn't be very happy, would you? Be in trouble. So what do you think it would be like if you were in a fight with your brothers and sisters when Jesus comes back? Right? So we want to be making sure we're doing things that would make Jesus happy when he comes back. And we don't know when he's coming back. So we should always be doing things that would make Jesus happy, right? He can see us anyway, but we would want to make sure that we live a certain way because we know he's coming back. So this, what is this? This is our trumpet, right? And we learned in the first lesson that when Jesus comes back, there's going to be a trumpet blow. There's going to be a shout and the voice of the archangel, and the trumpet will blow. So this here reminds us that Jesus could come. And the people, the Thessalonians, some of them thought, well, Jesus is coming anytime. I don't need to work. I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to sit around and wait for Jesus to come. And if I need some food, people that have lots of money can give me food. And the men in the certain leaders in the church said to those people, you ought not to do that. You need to be working. And people did not want to listen. They did not want to obey the pastors and the elders of their church. They thought, well, I got saved the same time you got saved. Why? How come you can tell me what to do? And was that the right way to be thinking? Do you think Jesus would have been happy if he came back and they were sitting there saying, I don't need to listen to him? No, he wouldn't have been. So actually, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 tells us that we are to respect and obey those that are leaders in our church. Then, something else. So, what's this remind us of? What's the trumpet remind us of? Jesus coming back, right? When's Jesus coming back? Do we know? We don't know. When could Jesus come back? Could he come back today? What? When is Jesus coming back? He could come back today. Even Paul, when he wrote this book over 2,000 years ago, thought that Jesus could come back. So for sure, we're closer to the time that Jesus is coming back today than then. So this tells us that Jesus is coming back. And Paul told these people that they ought to encourage one another and even help one another. Listen. When somebody, if you're in your home and somebody's doing wrong, is it good to do wrong with them or to nicely tell them to stop doing wrong? What would Jesus want to see you doing? Let's say you're in your home and your brother is doing something wrong. Would Jesus want you to go and do wrong with them? Does Jesus want you to go and fight with them? Or does Jesus want you to tell them, you should not do that, Mom and Dad will not be happy? What does Jesus want you to do? We know the answer, don't we? He doesn't want us to be fighting with them, and he doesn't want us to do wrong, does he? Okay? So, we ought to make sure that we do what Jesus would want us to do, because he could come back anytime, couldn't he? And these Christians were encouraged to help one another. What if somebody's hurting? Maybe they feel sick. They are sick. What would Jesus want us to do for people who are sick? To help them. So if somebody's sick and we can help them, we should be helping them, because we would want to be doing that. Jesus could come back. Jesus could come back right now. He could come back when we get home, right?
He could come back when it's on Sunday.
He could come back on Sunday. He could come back any day of the week. So, there are at least 5 things. There's a certain part of the Bible where it says, rejoice evermore, pray without ceasing. There's some 5 things here that the end of the book of 1 Thessalonians tells us that we should be doing. What does this guy look like he's doing? I just said the word. Well, this guy's praying. Doesn't look like he's praying. He's got his hands folded and he's got his head bowed. He's praying. This guy's rejoicing. He's rejoicing. The Bible tells us that we should always be rejoicing. Do you ever get upset and mad? Sometimes we do, don't we? Yeah. Sometimes we get upset and we're mad. Do we want to be upset and mad when Jesus is coming back? No, we should be rejoicing. Even the Bible tells us that bad things will happen to us, but if we are obeying Jesus, We can still have joy even when bad things happen to us. We learned that last month. So this person is always rejoicing. This one says he's praying. Now a lot of people pray when they get up in the morning, and some people pray when they go to bed at night. Some people pray both in the morning and when they go to night. But God tells us here that we should be praying all the time. Now that doesn't mean we have to walk around with our eyes closed all the time. But we should always be ready to talk to God, to ask Him for help, to praise Him all day long, all the time. We should be praying. So this guy's praying. Let's see, we got rejoicing and praying, and I'm forgetting what this one is. Oh, no. This one is thankful. In everything, give thanks. That's a hard one. Do we ever find ourselves complaining about what's for supper? Or, yeah? Think Jesus would be happy if He came back right when you were complaining about what's for supper? He would not. Or anything else. So we want to make sure that we're thankful all the time. Thankful in everything. There's bad things that can happen. And we don't like those bad things that happen, but the Bible tells us and teaches us how we can be thankful to God even for the bad things that could happen. And then this tells us to be careful. To be careful. We shouldn't ever do something that people would think is evil. Or anything else like this. And this last one tells us to be holy. Holy means, and we learned this a while back, but you guys don't think we're here. Holy means we're separated. We're set apart. If you have believed on Jesus, He wants you to act different than people that haven't believed on Jesus. You should be acting like, well, we should be acting like He could come back at any minute, Josh. Right? We should be thinking Jesus could come back, and that should change the way we live. We won't do certain things because we know that Jesus might come back. We will do other things because we know that Jesus could come back at any minute. Finally, in the end of the second book of Thessalonians, Paul told them about some other things that they should do because Jesus is coming back. He said, stay away from unruly people. Now that would be like people that are always fighting. Are there people at school that always fight? They're just always fighting. You should stay away from those people. You don't want to be in the middle of a bunch of people that always fight. If you are, you're going to be one of those guys or girls that are always fighting. And the Bible tells Christians to stay away from to people that are always fighting. And then it says that we should be working. This guy here, see him? He's just sitting there. And he's just sitting around. He's not working. And Paul told us that we should be working. In fact, he said if you don't work, you shouldn't eat. Have you ever heard that phrase? If you don't work, you shouldn't eat? That comes from the Bible. It comes from the Bible. People shouldn't just be sitting around and other people giving them food and giving them money. The Bible teaches us that we should work and earn our own keep. Now, little kids don't have to go and get jobs. Their moms and dads, though, need to have jobs, right? So, and, some people thought, we said this in the beginning, oh, Jesus is coming back, so I don't need to eat. I don't need to work, but I still want to eat. Doesn't work that way, does it? Do you think Jesus would be happy if He came back and found us and we're all just sitting around trying to ask other people to give us food? No, He wants us to be working. And then this one here, these people were just going around talking all the time. They were talking all the time. And let's say they were just talking about something good. Let's say they were all talking about Jesus coming back. All they ever did is go around and talk about Jesus coming back, and they never did what they were supposed to do. Paul said, don't be going around talking all the time. You should be about your business. You should be cleaning your house. In 1 Thessalonians and 2 Thessalonians, he tells us that we should, the ladies, they would much rather talk about stuff than to clean their house and feed their children and put clothes on their children. That's wrong. Jesus would not be happy if He comes back and finds us and our house is a mess and there's no supper being made, but we've been talking all day about Jesus coming back. That's not really thinking about what Jesus will be happy about, even if we're talking about Jesus getting back, but lots of times we talk about other things, don't we? We go around and we talk about other people. That's not a good thing to do, is it? But we get all busy talking about other things and not doing what God wants us to do. Would Jesus be happy if he came back and we were out there talking to our friends and not doing what he wants us to do? He would not be happy. And we would be ashamed. We would be ashamed if we're not doing what he wants us to do when he comes back. So, 1 Thessalonians tells us that he's happy that the Thessalonians, they turned from their idols to God, to serve the living true God, and to wait for his Son from heaven. And we are still waiting. If you believed on Jesus and trusted him, if you turned from your sin and believed on him, we're waiting for Jesus to come back. Jesus is in heaven, right? And he's going to come back to the clouds, and everyone that's on the earth that's believed on him, when he comes to the clouds, we're all going to go and meet him. What are we going to be doing when he comes in the clouds? Will we be doing something that makes him happy, or will we be doing something that we will be ashamed of? We want to make sure that we're always doing something that will make him happy, right? And not ever doing something that we would be ashamed of if Jesus came back right that moment, and he could come back at any moment.